So IELTS speaking sample answers for part 1 about studies. So what do you study? Why don't you pause the video here and answer the question yourself, and then we'll have a look at what I answered. I'm currently studying geography. I'm a freshman, so this is my first year at university. I'm keen on finding out about how our planet works. I'm fascinated with everything to do with geology. Let's look at the vocabulary and the grammar that I've used. So grammar-wise, I've got I am studying. That is the present continuous, and that's something you're doing at the moment. So it's a good idea to try to change. So not if they say, what do you study? Don't say, I study this, I study that. Try and change it. Try and say, I am studying, or I have been studying. Vocabulary-wise, we've got freshman. And that's a first year university student. Keen on, this is a phrasal verb. Very interested in. Remember, to get band 7 or above, well, we need to show some less common and idiomatic language. Things like more complicated language, descriptive words, idioms and phrasal verbs. Fascinated is a verb. Irresistibly attracted to something. And then geology. This is the study of rocks. So what do you study? And this is another answer. For the past couple of years, I have been pursuing a degree in graphic design. I'm fond of the design process and love to tap into my creativity. So let's look at the grammar. I have been pursuing. So I have been pursuing a degree in graphic design. So that's using the present perfect continuous. Remember, we need to show the examiner what grammar we can use. And a good way to do this is to use different verb tenses. Vocabulary-wise, we got pursuing, and that's the continuous form of the verb, and that's studying a course or something. Fond of, phrasal verb, means you like it a lot. Design, that's drawing an idea or for something. So to design something is to come up with an idea and draw it or write it down. Tap into, to tap into, another phrasal verb. That's to use an amount of something. So creativity is imagination. So it's creating something from nothing. Where do you study? Why don't you stop the video here and then answer the question for yourself, and then we'll see what I came up with as an answer. So where do you study? At present, I'm studying at the University of Bath in the West Country of England. Although the campus is relatively tiny, they do offer state-of-the-art facilities which are very up to date. Let's look at the vocabulary that I've used. First of all, linking phrase and discourse marker. At present, that is basically telling the listener that I'm talking about at this time, at the moment. Grammar-wise, I'm studying. So studying, that's the present continuous form of the verb. So instead of saying I study, we've changed it from what they've asked in the question. We've changed it to show a little bit of grammar. So I'm studying. Vocabulary-wise, campus, that's the university grounds. Tiny, it's an adjective, it means small. State-of-the-art, it's collocation. And that means it's the most up-to-date, it's the most recent. It's very good. And then up-to-date is a phrase. If something is up to date, it means it's the very latest of something. Where do you study? Again, this is another answer. So another answer for this. Well, if I have to hit the books, I always go to this quaint little coffee shop around the corner from my dorm. It's a calm and tranquil place with a relaxed vibe, so I can concentrate easily. On top of that, the delicious coffee keeps me focused. Let's look at the vocabulary I've used here. So, to hit the books. If I have to hit the books, this is an idiom. And it's basically to study. To hit the books is to study. Quaint is an adjective. It means attractive and old-fashioned. Tranquil is an adjective. It means calm. And a vibe, it's a noun. A vibe means that it's a sort of feeling you get from somewhere. So here we say it's a relaxed vibe. So that's a relaxed feeling. Linking phrase and discourse marker on top of that. So on top of that is an idiomatic phrase, in fact, and that's used for adding more information. So what did I say? I said on top of that, the delicious coffee. So I'm adding more information to what I'd said before about the coffee keeping me focused. Why did you choose that subject? You can pause the video here and answer yourself, and then we'll see what I came up with. To be honest, I was in two minds between choosing chemistry and biology, but because I'm a nature lover, I chose the latter. Let's look at the vocabulary I've used here. To be honest, I've used this to basically introduce my idea. So if you're introducing something and you want the person listening to understand that you're telling the truth, you could start it with to be honest. Vocabulary-wise, I've got in two minds. This is an idiomatic phrase. It's an idiom. So if you're in two minds, it means you're undecided between two choices. The latter is the second option. So if there's two things that you mention, the first one is the former and the second one is the latter. Here I say I'm a nature lover and I love animals. I chose the latter. So that's why I chose biology instead of chemistry. Why did you choose that subject? This is another answer. I have always been fascinated with everything to do with history, so choosing a historical major was a no-brainer. It was a pretty easy decision for me. Let's look at the vocabulary I've used here. So grammar. I have been fascinated. I say I have always been fascinated, but I have been fascinated is the present perfect tense. So remember, we've got to show the examiner what grammar we can use. We have to use a range of grammar. And a good way to show that is to use different verb tenses. Vocabulary-wise, we've got fascinated, have been fascinated. So this is a verb, very interested. Historical is an adjective, and that's about history. It's about history. It's something to do with history. And a no-brainer is an idiom, and it means it needs no thought. Do you like that subject? Why don't you pause the video here and then answer the question yourself and then see what I said? Do you like that subject? I'm so passionate about performing arts and I live to perform in front of an audience. My ambition is to become a well-known successful actress and see myself in Hollywood movies. So let's look at the vocabulary I've got here. Vocabulary-wise, we've got passionate. That's an adjective, and that's a strong feeling about something. I live to something. So this is a collocation. Here I say I live to perform. But you could live to run, you could live to play football, you could live to play the guitar. So it's a bit melodramatic. It's a bit over the top to say I live to something, but it's your reason for living. And then ambition. That's desire to achieve something. So do you like that subject? What answer have I given? If I'm totally honest, I'm not so keen on physics anymore. Starting out, it was interesting learning about the universe and such. But these days, it's all theoretical and abstract ideas. If I had the chance, I would have chosen something a little less taxing. So let's look at the vocabulary that I used here. So, keen on is a phrasal verb, to like very much. Theoretical is an adjective, and it means concerning the theory of something. There's two things you can look at. You can look at the practice, the practical side of a subject, or you can look at the theory, the theoretical side of a subject. Abstract is an adjective. It means the idea about a theory. And then taxing is an adjective, and it means mentally demanding or mentally difficult. Linking phrase, discourse marker, we've got starting out. And this phrase means at the beginning, at the start of something. So here I say starting out, it was interesting. So at the beginning, it was interesting. Is it a popular subject in your country? Why don't you pause the video here, answer yourself, and then see what I said. I think it's gained popularity in recent years as people have become more aware of alternative and more eco-friendly energy solutions. I think there will be more academic courses in renewable energy in the future. Let's look at the vocabulary I've used. Gained popularity. This collocation means that something became more popular. More people became interested in it. Eco-friendly is an adjective, and that means it's not harmful to the environment, so it doesn't hurt the environment. Academic is an adjective, and that's related to education. If you are studying at university, you're doing some kind of academic study. And then renewable energy, that's a noun, and that means it's not fossil fuel. So not traditional oil and gas and that sort of thing. It's renewable. It can be renewed. Things like wind and tide power. So is it a popular subject in your country? Another answer could be, to be frank, not too many people are into astrophysics. It's a highly specialized subject that most people find hard to fathom. I think it baffles most people. To be frank, this is a linking phrase, discourse marker. This means basically that to be honest. So what I'm going to tell you, what I'm introducing to you is my honest opinion, or is me speaking honestly, to be frank. It's also idiomatic. Vocabulary wise, we've got astrophysics. It's a noun. This is a subject, and that's the physics of the universe. Specialized, adjective, and that's needing a lot of special knowledge. It's a specialized subject. Hard to fathom is a phrase, and it means it's difficult to understand. And then a verb, to baffle. To baffle. It baffles most people. And that means bewilder or confuse. Is there anything unexpected about your study? Why don't you stop the video here and then answer it yourself and then see what I answered? To be honest, I was pretty amazed by the complexity of what I thought was a rather simple and straightforward subject. The scope of it is amazing, really. So, vocabulary-wise, complexity. It's a noun, and that means how complicated something is. So, rather, it's an adverb. So I say rather simple, and that's rather is to some extent. I'm rather hungry means that I'm hungry to some extent. I'm quite hungry. So it's less hungry than very hungry. If I was very hungry, I could say I'm ravenous or something like that. But if I'm rather hungry, it means I'm a little bit hungry. I'm quite hungry. Straightforward, it's an adjective, and that's easy and uncomplicated. So it's easy to understand. And scope is a noun, and that's the range of something. What is the scope? What is the range? Is there anything unexpected about your study? Is there anything unexpected about your study? So, this is another answer to the question. Well, if I'm honest, I thought I was quite knowledgeable about computers, but it turns out I have barely scratched the surface and have so much more to learn. Let's look at the vocabulary. Linking phrase, discourse marker. If I'm honest. So that's introducing my idea. It's introducing my thought. Vocabulary-wise, we've got knowledgeable, to have a lot of knowledge about something. To turn out, this is a phrasal verb. Remember, to get band 7 or more, we need to show some less common and idiomatic language. Phrasal verbs are very easy to use for this. So that's to end in a particular way, to turn out. How did it turn out? So how did the movie turn out? It turned out very well. Everybody was happy in the end. And then to scratch the surface, this is actually an idiomatic phrase, and that's to understand a small part of something. So, if you had the chance, would you change the subject? Why don't you pause the video here and then answer for yourself, and then we'll see what answer I give. Definitely not. I have put so much time and effort into studying medicine, I would never throw in the towel and quit halfway through. I know I'm going to have a rewarding career. So, let's look at the vocabulary. Linking phrase, discourse marker, definitely not. So, that means that I strongly disagree. It's a bit boring if we just say no. It's much better if we can put some emotion into our words, and definitely not shows the examiner what you are feeling, what you are thinking. Vocabulary wise, we've got to throw in the towel. That is an idiom, and that's to quit something or to give something up. Don't throw in the towel. Don't give up. Keep going. Career is a noun, and that's your occupation or your job. And then rewarding is an adjective, and that means it providing satisfaction. So another answer for if you had a chance, would you change the subject, is as follows. To be fair, it was foolish of me to pursue such a difficult degree. I thought it would be less demanding than it is. Given the chance, I would choose music. That's where my real interests lie. So let's look at the vocabulary I've used. Linking phrase and discourse marker. We got to be fair. So this phrase is basically to be honest. So it's letting them know that the next thing you say is your honest opinion. Vocabulary wise, foolish, adjective. That's the lack of good judgment. So if you are foolish, it means you do foolish things. So to be foolish is actually to be a little bit stupid. To pursue is a verb, to follow, and that's to seek, to attain, to try to do something. Demanding is something that requires a lot of effort. And then where my interests lie. This is a phrase, and that's basically saying what interests me, where my interests lie. So I could say what nature documentaries are where my interests lie. So nature documentaries are what I like to watch. So is there something that helps you study effectively? Why don't you pause the video here, answer for yourself, and then see what I said. Peace and quiet is vital for my studying. I need absolute silence when I'm learning. The tiniest noise can be a major distraction to me and make me lose my focus. Let's look at the vocabulary here. Peace and quiet. It's a collocation. It means silence. Vital is an adjective. It means it's that if something's vital, it's absolutely necessary. It's needed. Distracting is an adjective. It means preventing concentration. And focus, so it makes me lose my focus. Focus can be a verb, but here it's a noun. And that's your center of interest. So another answer for this is there something that helps you study effectively. I'm fairly flexible about when and where I can work. The students in my dorm are pretty rowdy, so I got used to blocking out distractions early on. On top of that, coffee is a godsend and really helps me to keep my concentration. Let's look at the vocabulary I've used here. So flexible, that's an adjective, and that's able to bend or change. If you're flexible, it means you can adapt to something that changes. To work is to study, that's a verb. Dorm is a noun, and that's a room where many people sleep. Dorm is short for dormitory. Rowdy, adjective, and that's noisy or disorderly. And then a godsend is a noun, and that's very helpful. So if something's a godsend, it means it was sent from God to you. It means it really helpful. You find it very useful. So what are more important, friends or studies? Why don't you stop the video here, answer the question yourself, and then we'll see what I answered. So sure, friends are important, but I'm here to get a world-class education. So that's what I need to concentrate on for the time being. I have to get my head down and pass this course with flying colours. Let's look at the vocabulary. So linking phrase and discourse markers. Sure. Sure is basically you agree. It's like saying yes, sure. For the time being. This phrase means at the moment. For the time being. It's basically at this time, at the moment. Vocabulary-wise, we've got a world class. This is a saying. If something's world class, it's very good. It's like the best in the world. To get my head down, it's an idiomatic phrase. It means if you get your head down or get my head down, it's to work hard. To pass with flying colours is another idiom, and that's to do very well at something. So is there anything you change about your university? Why don't you pause the video here, answer yourself, and then see what I answered. So is there anything you change about your university? Absolutely. For starters, I would make some extracurricular activities that will count towards your grades. That way, the less academic students will have more of a fighting chance to graduate. So let's look at the vocabulary I've used. Linking phrase and discourse markers. Absolutely. If you say absolutely, it means you agree. So instead of saying yes, do you agree? Yes, you could just say absolutely. I agree. For starters. So this is a phrase, and this is introducing the first thing of usually many ideas. So vocabulary-wise, extracurricular, that's an adjective, and that means it's not related to the course, not related to the study, it's something else. Academic is an adjective, and that's relating to education. A fighting chance is a phrase, and that's a good chance. If you have a fighting chance at doing something, you have a good chance that you will succeed. And graduating, verb, and that's obtaining a degree. So, do you plan to get a job in the same field as your subject? Why don't you stop the video here, answer the question yourself, and then have a look at what I answered. Certainly. I actually have been accepted for an internship this summer, so I can hit the ground running and start building some corporate experience. I am very excited about this opportunity and am looking forward to it. I can't wait to get stuck in. So linking phrase, discourse marker, certainly. So that's agreeing with something strongly. So it's telling the listener that you agree. Vocabulary-wise, we've got internship. That's a noun, and that's a trainee in a company. To hit the ground running is an idiom. For band 7 or more, we have to use some less common and idiomatic language. So this is an idiom, and that's basically to start work quickly. To hit the ground running is to start the work as quickly as possible. So you don't really have an introductory period or a training period. You just get started with the work. Corporate is an adjective, and that's relating to a business. Look forward is a phrasal verb, and that's to await something eagerly. I'm really looking forward to my birthday next month. What are you looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the weekend. I've been working enough. And then to get stuck in is an idiom, and that's to start working intently, to start working very diligently, very hard, is to get stuck in.